Hello, this is Erin Taylor coming to you. Today I wanted to talk to you about discipline. This is the subject of my next book that my business partner and friend and I are working on. And so this is the topic that I wanted to start with here on my YouTube channel. Discipline. This is a very complex subject for parents, and I am going to tackle it over a few videos. The first thing that I wanted to tell you or to point out is that the original meaning of discipline was to teach, but somehow along the way we twisted up the definition, and many people view discipline as a way to punish or to correct or to control. And this really is far afield from the initial meaning of the word discipline. So, what does discipline mean? What should it really mean? And how should we use discipline? And what does it really look like in our family? These are the things that we're going to talk about over these next few videos. So, discipline is really supposed to be a way for you to teach your child. But do you actually use it that way? Do you actually use discipline to teach your child? It's a good question, isn't it? Discipline should be the method by which we use to teach our children. The first thing that we have to understand with children is that they are going to mess up. No matter what, they're going to mess up. And they're not going to mess up once. They're going to mess up continuously, over and over, in many different ways. And so we have to first realize and accept that they're going to make mistakes. They're going to make bad choices. They're going to use poor judgment. They're going to forget things. They're going to lash out. They're going to hurt people's feelings. They're going to do all these sorts of things. These are natural things that children do in the process of growing up and learning how to be a person, how to be an adult, how to be a friend, how to be a child or a son or a daughter, how to be a student. All of these things that they're learning, they're going to learn through making mistakes. And so it's very important for us as parents to not overreact when our kids mess up, because they inevitably will. But it's very easy for us as parents to overreact. We get triggered and then fear sets in. So then we start thinking, oh my gosh, how could my child have done this? What will other parents think of me? What will other people think about my child? If my child made this decision, what other bad decisions are they going to make? And oh my gosh, if I don't stop this behavior immediately, discipline this behavior, then my child will end up dropping out of school, homeless on the street, or living in my basement. So we can go from something as innocuous as they stole a toy from their little playmate when they're a toddler, or they said an unkind word to a friend on the playground in elementary school, or they forgot an assignment in middle school. Fear can make us leap all the way to them being homeless and living in our basement, or living in our basement. So we have to be very careful not to get triggered when our kids mess up. That's the very first thing. Well, I guess that's the second thing. The first thing is to realize and accept that they are going to mess up. The second challenge is to try not to get triggered when our kids mess up. So the first thing I tell parents is to work on your poker face. work on your poker face. I have a 15-year-old son currently, and I have spoken to many of his friends, and I've heard from so many of his friends who have said, oh, I would never tell my mom that. I could never talk to her about that. If she found that out, she would flip out. When we overreact to our kids and the inevitable mistakes that they make, it makes our kids not want to tell us things. And then when our kids aren't telling us things, they're hiding things from us, we don't have a full understanding of what's going on, they're lying perhaps, and things just go downhill from there. So the very first piece of advice I can give you is to work on your poker face. When your child comes to you and says they broke your favorite vase, like that famous Brady Bunch episode, if you have seen it, don't overreact. Don't flip out. Oh my gosh, how did you break my vase? You were playing ball in the house. I told you a million times not to do that. How could you do this? Now look what you've done. My vase is ruined. Blah, 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 blah. Because when you react like that, your child's gonna remember that. They're either gonna feel embarrassed, they're gonna feel shame, they're gonna feel fear, they might resent you, and all of these things will add up to them not wanting to share things with you in the future. And open communication between us and our kids is one of the most important things that we can establish, because the easiest way to teach them and to guide them, discipline them, is with open communication. But when we overreact and freak out and flip out when they make mistakes, then we're closing those doors on the communication, and that's not really a good thing. And that doesn't help them become the fullest version, the best version of themselves that they can be. But how do we tame that fear? That's an ongoing dilemma or an ongoing challenge for us as parents. And that's what I'm going to be covering in the next video, where we will be talking about discipline, part 2.